Hello, I'm Simon Whistler, you're watching TopTenz Net, and in the video today we're looking at the top 10 stories and books by Stephen King. Number 10. Everything's Eventual, a short story. Published in Everything's Eventual, 14 Dark Tales, this quirky tale follows Dinky Earnshaw, our 19-year-old narrator who has the uncanny ability to draw pictures that kill people. A mysterious man from a mysterious corporation gives Dinky a house to live in, a car to drive, plenty of money, and pretty much anything he could ever ask for, and in return, Dinky draws his pictures. Dinky, our hero, has no idea the power his pictures wield. Even as the truth of what he's doing starts to dawn on Dinky, he starts to realize that the mysterious corporation is not what it seems, and that the people he's killing might not be the bad guys, after all. Number 9. Low Men in Yellow Coats, a novella. This novella appeared in the collection Hearts in Atlantis and is another offshoot of the Dark Tower series. Ted Brautigan has escaped from his incarceration as a beam breaker for the Crimson King. We don't really fully understand this until the final book of the Dark Tower series, but we know by the end of Low Men in Yellow Coats that Ted is going to work for the bad guys in return for them leaving Bobby alone. But let's not get too ahead of ourselves. Ted moves into the same apartment building as Bobby Garfield, the child of a single mother who is sleeping with her boss, which is scandalous, especially in 1960. Ted and Bobby form a friendship that makes his mother very suspicious. Ted lets Bobby know that he, Ted, is being chased by low men in yellow coats who put up lost pet signs and draw stars and moons on the sidewalk. Sound confusing? Give it a read. We guarantee you'll enjoy it. Number 8. Misery. Annie Wilkes is Paul Sheldon's #1 fan. Paul writes Annie's favorite short stories about Misery Chastain, a tragic heroine who Paul has the nerve to kill off in what was supposed to be the final Misery novel. It just figures that Paul would just so happen to get into a car accident right near Annie's house. She rescues him, takes him to her house, and at first it seems that Paul's really lucked out. It turns out that Annie is completely off her rocker and that Paul isn't so lucky after all. Number 7. Carrie. What can we say? King can really write crazy. Carrie was published in 1974 and has been banned in schools in all over the US. It's also been widely adapted. 2 feature films, a TV movie, and even a Broadway musical. Not too shabby for a manuscript that Stephen King threw away initially. Number 6. The Long Walk. The Long Walk takes place in an alternate universe where life in the United States is more like life in a police state, where teenage boys are forced to take the long walk and are killed by soldiers for their indiscretions. Number 5. Rage. This psychological thriller/teenage horror story is so powerful and has so many social implications that Stephen King has decided for it to stay out of print forever. Charlie Decker is an angry young man, so angry in fact that he beats a teacher with a wrench, grabs his pistol out of his locker, sets his locker on fire, and then shoots 2 teachers. As if this wasn't enough, he holds a classroom full of his fellow students hostage. That's disturbing, but it's not an original story, right? The catch is that the story sounds familiar because these things happened since Rage was published. In addition, the story is much more interesting than just being about a disturbed kid. The dialogue between Charlie and his hostages is riveting, and the story is a testament to how horrible teen life can be and how angry life can make a child that is having a hard time becoming an adult. Number 4. Wizard and Glass, a Dark Tower novel. Let's face it, this series is Stephen King's opus, and so many of his works weave into it. Since we're doing this list based on standalone works, we didn't include the whole series. That's okay because some of the books are better than others. This is one of them. This is one of the best crafted, wondrous, disturbing quest stories of all time, and not just from Stephen King's world. Number 3. Rita Hayworth and the Shawshank Redemption. This story comes from the short story collection Different Seasons, which was also the book with Apt Pupil and The Body, both of which were made into feature films. So was Rita Hayworth and the Shawshank Redemption. As great as the film was, the story is better. It is rich and delightfully told, and you should certainly read it. You won't be sorry. Number 2. The Gunslinger, a Dark Tower novel. The man in black fled across the desert, and the gunslinger followed. If you've read this book, that line will give you chills. A poem by Robert Browning called Childe Roland to the Dark Tower Cane was the unlikely inspiration for this 12-year-in-development labour of love. Funny enough, Browning's poem is said to have come to him in a dream fully formed in iambic pentameter. The title of the poem comes from Shakespeare's King Lear. Shakespeare got the idea for Edgar's rant from a fairy tale called Childe Roland, which incidentally takes its inspiration from a medieval ballad. One might say that the inspiration for the Gunslinger has inspired many other great works before it. King has often said that he was on autopilot during the creation of the Gunslinger and the Dark Tower novels. Number 1. The Stand. If Stephen King considers the Dark Tower novels to be his magnum opus, The Stand is perhaps his greatest masterpiece. A sprawling and magnificent novel, The Stand takes place in a post-apocalyptic wasteland where most of the human population is dead by the hand of a man-made biological virus/weapon. An oracle's dream draws a group of survivors together to rebuild society, but Randall Flagg has other plans. And that synopsis barely scratches the surface of this amazing piece of literature. So I really hope you enjoyed that video. Maybe we've given you some inspiration for reading. If you did like it, please do give us a like below and don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Also, over there on the right are a couple of other videos you'll probably like if you enjoyed this one, and thank you for watching.